Alright, so I'm going to continue with this car. We'll be putting in this alternator that I cleaned up. And this crank pulley here. So I'm here trying to get this pulley on. I mean, I've been trying to sneak it in there, but that crank bolt's going to have to come out. So, here's the gun. Bam. So there's my AC belt. I had to reuse the one it had because they sent me the wrong one. It looks like I cannot. There's a difference between the two. It's a little short, but it's there. Here's the alternator installed. Power steering pump's also tightened down and installed. There's the belt. I also went ahead and installed the exhaust manifold. As you can see, plugged in some of the wiring here. There's still some stuff to do. This wire here was brittle and it broke. Here's the turbo I'm going to be using right here. This is out of my orange 2G. Bought this brand new back in what, 2010, 11. Now it's gonna be powering the Talon. I'm gonna be feeding my turbo from the oil filter housing. In order for me to get this 90-degree fitting, I'm running a braided line. Anyways, I had to get this thing out here. And I just put Teflon on this pipe, I think it's pipe thread. Tighten it up, angled it this way, and then this has got to go on. Here's the 16G installed, along with the oil feed line. It's a braided feed line that's being fed from the oil filter housing. What else? Just a stock O2 housing. There's the rest of the lower piping in, and the heat shield. I'm slowly making progress. I'm gonna do the throttle cable next. I still have to find my O2 sensor. Not sure where it went. The stock O2 sensor that I looked for over like an hour. Finally found it. It's installed. Battery tray's in. The cruise control's in. There's still a few other things. Gotta drill this out. This side. Both of those. Just gonna have the radiator sitting in place for now. But it's starting to look more together. So here's what it's looking like underneath. Got that transfer case installed. Still gotta change the fluid in it, or add new fluid. And then the turbo oil return line is in. What else? Still gotta plug that wire in for that sensor. Went ahead and installed the cam angle sensor housing here. I used RTV because I could not find that O-ring. I'm guessing there's an O-ring there, but I couldn't find it online. All I could find was the O-ring for the cam angle sensor here, this little one. I still gotta install this piece right here. There is a timing mark. I actually made it, mine was faded away, but I took some white paint and marked it. And according to the manual, at top dead center, this should line up with the sensor here. So that white mark to the sensor. If you notice, there's this bigger piece and there's this smaller one. So when I push it in, right there it's in. The bigger part should be here and the smaller one up top. And that the white mark lines up with the sensor. I also put a STM cover for the cam angle sensor. Here's my ugly valve cover. As you can see, the imperfections. I think I'm just gonna wait till I get another one powder coated. Like I said before, I just want to get this thing going. I don't have much left. Gotta throw in the battery, the intake for the turbo, radiator, plug in the fans, add coolant. I've already put oil in it. And just go through it. See what's leaking. Hopefully nothing. I went ahead and set the radiator in. Hooked up the hoses. I don't know if you can see, but I tried to drill out that broken bolt for the radiator support, but the easy out was just not even moving it at all. It needs some heat. It's very rusted in there. So that still needs fixed, but the condenser's in my way behind it. I wanted to put heat underneath it and then grab it with channel locks or something and twist it out of there, because I think it's long enough to grab. So I managed to get the broken bolt that was here and here, but I messed up this one. I went off a little bit. I went off a lot actually. And I'm not sure if the threads are gonna grab, but there's the old broken bolts. I'll be using these stainless ones. Radiator supports are installed. I'm gonna steal the battery out of the 95 Auto DSM. It actually runs, but has shifting issues. So I'll take the battery out of this one. Maybe I can work on this next after the Talon's done. Or my orange 2G. Alright, so I have this on the quick jacks right now. I went ahead and put back my factory exhaust, but I know it's gonna leak. Still an exhaust leak. Yep, I feel it. See that valve? Stuck. Should be like that. Not cool. Weird. It was just running fine yesterday and I go to start it today and boom, that happens. Alright, so I started pulling off the intake valves. I actually have to beat them out of there. Look. They're bent. Alright, so I did some surgery to the Talon. I went and installed these nipping something pistons right here, standard bore with brand new rings. These are actual DSM pistons, since the Eagle ones, the valve relief wasn't deep enough. You can see how much deeper these are. So yeah, I didn't do my valve clearances right. My fault. So I'm gonna go ahead and, these are all torqued down. I'm gonna go ahead and set the head in with a brand new head gasket. Alright, so here's the Talon back together again for the second time. I primed it and I put the spark plugs and wires in. Check my timing. So far so good. I didn't put the exhaust in case something else decides to go wrong. What else? So I'm gonna give it a shot and start it and see what happens. It's got oil. Oh yeah, I broke my dipstick. Okay, this is gonna be loud because there's no exhaust or downpipe. Oh, she lived. I'm gonna put the exhaust in because it stinks. Well, it lives. Just gonna put that exhaust back in so it's quieter. Oh man, it stinks in here in the garage. It's a rainy day. This is what the 98 Talon looks like. It's out the garage. VR4's in. So here's key fob. Still works. Still haven't fixed my idle. It needs to wash really bad. You can see the windshield, it's filthy. So this is the original head that came out of my 98 Eagle Talon. And obviously it failed because it had shit inside the valve guides. And my dumbass didn't know. Anyways, you can see the combustion chamber full of it. If you look in here, you can see the spring seats still sitting in there. That is because the aluminum is actually cracked. Same thing over here. You can see there's 2 cracks. Same thing right there. So, because this had some cracks, I figured I'd just start all over fresh. So this is the machine, or this is the other head I just got machined by another machine shop. That needs polished. That too. Anyways, you can see how much cleaner it is. Come over here, you can see I used Evo valve springs. Change all the valve stem seals. And for the valves, these are on the intake side, these are Ferrea 6000 series. And the exhaust side, they are SuperTech. And all of these got new valve guides. So if I put the 2 heads side by side, standing up, this is the head that failed. You can see that brownish stuff in here. I should have caught that the first time, but I didn't. I didn't think, well, I mean, I couldn't see inside here, but I didn't think that would have been full of that stuff, to be honest with you guys. Anyways, you look at this side, and the plugs don't have any of that coating, which it shouldn't have any anyways. So the Talon is back in the garage. Looks like I'm gonna have to pull the bottom end. I don't know if you can see this, but this is that tacky stuff. It is in the cylinder. I know it looks like rust, but that stuff is brownish, rust looking. So as you can see, there's all that nasty, sticky stuff. This is the intake side here. It's actually inside here. And what's leading me, I talked to the machinist and showed him the valves. And he told me it was the fuel causing this stickiness. He said the fuel was too old. And that's what was causing the valves to stick. And I would have never thought of that, because I come over here and I see that same brownish stuff. So I'm not sure. I'm starting to believe it was fuel the whole time, because if you see the runners, it's coming from there and there. Just weird. The exhaust doesn't really have it. It's mainly the intake ports. So I'm starting to believe that the machine shop guy, the second guy, is right. If I peel this off, you can see you can see it's inside the cylinder walls. So I'm starting to believe this is fuel this whole time. I would never expect fuel to do that. I mean, I did throw in some fresh gas, but that doesn't solve the issue of draining the whole gas tank and putting in fresh fuel. So I don't know what to believe anymore. So I just removed the number 4 piston. I'm so glad I did, because you can see how that stuff seeped through, and none of the rings are moving freely. And I had a feeling that stuff was in the ring grooves. So I'm gonna have to re-clean that. You can see it right here. It's like tacky. So I removed number 2, 3, and 4 pistons. Here's number 1. You can see all the shit around it. I'm glad I removed it so I can clean that up. Anyways, here's one of the pistons, piston number 4. I cleaned it with carb cleaner. I removed the piston rings and cleaned every single one individually. And that's what it looks like right now. So I'm back here in the fuel tank area. Started draining it. Used this hose right here. And got as much as I could with it. I got about 5 gallons out of it. And also opened up this side, but I didn't suck it out of here. You can see all the debris down there in the tank. I'll have to clean it out. I'm glad I took all this out. I should have done that in the first place, but my dumbass didn't. You can see it's really nasty. And here's the other one. Oh, look at that, screen's busted. Rust falling. Just nasty. I think they still make these hangers here. I think they're still available for a 2G. Maybe I'll order one if I can find one. Here's the part number for the fuel pump hanger, and the one for the other side on the passenger side. That's what it looks like, all cleaned up. It's a lot better. So here's the fuel pump assembly installed. The fuel hangers for the Talon are now completed. I still have them open just to see if there's any leaks. Over here, I got everything back together. It's got oil, a battery, some plug wires, and I'm gonna see what happens when I start it with fresh gas. Okay, first try. Fired right up. I did prime it, that's probably why. Probably got air pockets in the fuel line. Maybe. I don't know. So the Talon's been sitting for over 24 hours. Last time that happened, all of the valves hit the piston. Let's see what happens. Squeaky belt. I'm gonna tighten it up. Alright, so I tighten up the power steering belt and the alternator. Let's see if it squeals. Nope, fixed it. No valves hitting the pistons either. Alright, so my bit screw's all the way down. Idle still high. I think it has something to do with the ISC not being set. So I have to address that. It's running smooth. I think I'm just gonna end it right here. Talon is alive, finally. Let it sit overnight and it was still running, which is positive. Just that idle issue that's driving me nuts. Gotta put the seat back in. So yeah, I can't wait to get this thing back on the road. There's a check engine light too. Don't know what it is. Other light's anti-lock. Need to get this washed up, cleaned up, and ready. Good old 98 Talon.